Hi, this is Sue Greenwald with Awakened Stories. I'm here today with Deanna Carr with the Mystical Moonlight. Hey, Dee, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Today's surprise topic is Ascended Masters. All right, so I want to just talk about them in concept. And this is such a big topic. I mean, you can't do it all in 15 minutes or less. So we'll just do a little bit to kind of stimulate thought. Okay. So
Yes.
Ascended Masters are basically, you know, previously humans here on Earth that have ascended spiritually. They've learned how to create a higher vibration, to harness what we would call many of the supernatural abilities.
Mhm.
And they have decided to stay on Earth basically to help people here. All right. Is that kind of
Yeah.
a good way of glossing that over?
Yes.
Yeah, so from what I understand, they've exited the cycle of reincarnation. Like they're not coming back. They're here to help people. And again, they're usually spiritually enlightened. So because they were human, they have more of a compassion and empathy for how things work here. Okay.
Yes.
So they understand how society works a little bit more. And in Catholic religion, usually what they call a saint is someone that's incorruptible. Okay. So that means when they die, the body doesn't decay. And that's how the person usually does all these great things while on earth. But then when they die, it's kind of like proof that they were such good people that they should be made saints, right?
Yeah.
Kind of a little bit weird, but so, when we talk about ascended masters, there are so many out there. You could
Mhm.
research this all day long because we're talking all sorts of ages through history. So, you've got your Catholic saints, if you will, like Jesus, Mother
Mhm.
Mary, my favorite, Padre Pio, okay, Saint Francis of Assisi. Like they all had their specialties or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you've got like the Hindu ones like Babaji, Yogananda, Sri Yukteswar, those kind of ascended masters. And then one of my favorites, Saint Germain. So let's kind of back up. Are ascended masters real?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And is my kind of glossing over like what they are here on Earth, is that kind of accurate? They've exited the reincarnation cycle.
They've exited, they have finished their contract. So
Boom.
they have gone through. Now, most of us don't really understand our contracts. I mean, we can't really unless we had a copy of it. But when they get through their cycle and their contract, that is when they can kind of go on their own way. They're free to scout around and do what they need. Most of them do become ascended masters because ascended masters aren't only limited to one planet. They have capabilities to go between. They have an understanding because once you get to the end, you can remember it all. You When we come back into our next cycle, into our next contract, we are not able to remember it because that is part of our contract.
Right.
So with these ascended masters, they've reached the end of their contract and they're able to come back without anything interfering with them, and they're able to remember everything they've gone through, everything they've learned, and understands about energy work. That's why they have such capabilities to help people that they meet and give them healing, whatever they need. There is no repercussion to this because they have finished their contract. They're not going against anything. They are able to help people without any repercussion.
Okay, awesome, awesome news. Yeah,
Mhm.
so they've been around, well, like here on Earth for a long time. So
Mhm.
if you research Ascended Masters, you're going to get a list of names, many that you've heard of, many that you haven't, that is so long. And each one had a, like, we'll call it a specialty or a focus,
Yes.
right? So they are here to help and they are real. And like one of my favorites is Saint Germain. So let's talk about him. All right. He's very pertinent at this time in history. But was Saint Germain the reincarnation of Saint Francis Bacon?
Yes.
Ooh. Okay. All right. So basically, Saint Germain, I think it was the 1700s. I'm sorry, I don't know the specifics, but basically, he was wealthy and he was able to create wealth, gold, diamonds. He had magical powers. Okay, so
Yes.
he could create. And so the story I recall went something like this. He goes to the king, and the king and their guys, they're all wealthy and they're rulers and they own everything. He goes up to them and he shows them all his abilities. He gives them diamonds and blah, blah, blah. You can create this. This is how you do that. And
Mhm.
what does the king do? So the people are really poor at that time. So rather than give the people this wealth or spread it around, the king hoards it. So basically, what I think happened is Saint Germain realized that the people weren't ready yet. The royalty wasn't going to help anyone other than themselves. All right,
Yeah.
so he invented a bunch of things. He helped people. He traveled around, blah blah blah, and then he kind of disappeared.
Mhm.
So what I've heard is when the U.S. Constitution was being signed way back when, Saint Germain popped in on the signers and said, "Hey, you guys better sign this document," because there was some, I guess, discussion about it of some sort.
Mhm.
Is that a true story?
Yes, he is able to switch around and jump through. It's almost like a portal, but they're able to somewhat teleport between time eras.
Oh,
So
interesting.
it's not just on one timeline.
Oh, okay. So, did Saint Germain invent all that stuff? Like, I mean, there was a whole bunch of stuff if you research it, and I don't remember every
Mhm.
story, but is that true, the story about how he had tried to, give this and show the king and the royalty, and they kind of used him for a while, and then he realized like it wasn't going anywhere for the people, and then he disappeared. That's true.
Yeah, because the one thing is when people want to help, they figure the best people to help are the people in power
Yeah,
because they can get it to everybody.
yeah,
Because usually when you help somebody that's not in power, it can only go so far.
yeah,
But what they don't realize is the people in power tend to be selfish. They tend to be in position
yeah,
because they've stepped on somebody, they've killed somebody, they've sabotaged somebody. It's usually negative for the
yeah,
people that are actually in power.
yeah,
And that's why they tend to stay in power.
yeah.
So that's where after a while he did switch off because he's like, this is obviously not going anywhere and it's not really doing what it's supposed to. So he figured he can switch to a different timeline and help in a different way.
Super cool. All right, so then what we're told is that the Saint Germain created a trust way back when. So let's say
Mhm,
1700s. He took some of his money, he put it into the World Trust, okay?
mhm.
And it's been accruing interest for hundreds of years. And the time is now for that to be doled out to the people. Is that a true story?
Yes.
Woo! Okay. Now, I have heard that Saint Germain had popped in on Congress a while ago, a couple times, and that's here in the US.
Mhm.
And is that a true story?
Yeah, he does pop in and out
Yeah.
when he sees fit. So he tries to push it in the direction to help the people as much as possible, but he realizes that if he stays in the situation for too long, it doesn't go to his benefit. So that's why it's like kind of a quick
Right.
situation.
Okay. And I'm just using him because he's a fascinating figure that's been woven through recent history as well as the past few hundred years, right? And it
Mhm.
shows his ability for humanitarian work, like he tried to help the people, his we'll call them like supernatural abilities and that sort of thing. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So, there's tons and tons of other ascended masters. Okay, so like Jesus being the most popular one, I would say, right? And
Mhm.
he's a unique being. Kuan Yin, all sorts of ascended masters. They all were here to help humanity. They all had their way of helping, right? Is there any specific ascended master we should talk about other than Saint Germain? I just wanted to kind of tell the story and talk about how they operated. Is there anything else you can think of we should say?
No, not really. They're here to help us,
Yeah.
and some of us have actually meeting ascended masters without even knowing.
Right.
Um, they do try to fit in and blend in as much as possible. They
Mhm.
don't want to bring too much attention to themselves because they feel like it's kind of back pushing, and people would be on their case for the wrong reasons.
Right.
So they try to be incognito as much as possible, so that way they can heal and help as much as possible.
Right. Right.
Mhm,
And so they're out there now. I in one modality of energy healing that I learned, we were taught that all the ascended masters were in the Himalayas, basically. They live there in the Himalayas in this valley. They all
mhm,
like pop in and pop out, but they have their annual celebrations and things there at this particular valley. And like that's why a lot of the spiritual people, especially in India, would try to make their way to this valley. Now,
mhm.
it wasn't always for that specific reason. They didn't have that knowledge, but that's really what they would find there is all those ascended masters. Is that a true story?
Yes, they don't meet there anymore
Ah,
because it became noticed, so they had to find a different location.
okay.
Because when you have that much power in one area, usually it tends to be bad for the good guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. Well, this is just kind of a little teaser on Ascended Masters.
Yeah.
Like I said, you could make a list a mile long of the Ascended Masters through history that have been out
Mhm.
there. And they all have their abilities and all of that. And again, depending on what energy healing method you study or whatever, you're going to hear of different masters' names. It's all good. They're all here to help. So
Mhm.
interesting, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Does Saint Germain have any message for us today, those that are listening?
You're on the right path. You need to keep pushing forward even through the hard times. It is happening and it is changing.
Okay. Thank you, Saint Germain. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess what I say again to the viewer is to leave us all your comments, questions, and we'll try to get back to specific questions about this in our next Q&A session.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Deanna. Appreciate your time so much.
Of course. Thank you.
Right. Bye-bye.
Bye.